You are listening to the Awake Athlete Podcast. I'm Jessica Mikowski, endurance athlete and mindset coach, here to share with you perspectives and contemplations from a 10,000-foot view of life. Wow, you guys. Welcome to episode 1, season 1 of the Awake Athlete Podcast. I am so grateful that you are here with me. Thanks for taking a chance and tuning in, because this is all about you being your most fully expressed, badass, amazing athlete self. And every single person around you, all those people that you hold so dear in your heart, will benefit from your greatness as we continue to go in and really unearth this level of belief that is unshakable and knowing that we are powerful creators in this life. So first off, how badass is that intro music? It makes me want to sign up for an Ironman and a 100-mile trail run on back-to-back weekends. It motivates me. It inspires me. It reinforces that I am powerful, and it reinforces that I was meant to be an athlete. So I'm going to read you something that I wrote a few years ago. It's just a short little paragraph that nobody has seen but me. Even before we became athletes, we could feel it, the desire for far-reaching goals and the innate tools to master them all. We put in the work we always have, and we strive to go beyond what is reasonable most days of the week, because that feels normal to us. Our lives don't exhaust us because our fire of desire burns steadfastly from deep within. We were born with naturally strong wills. We were created to be athletes. If you're like, hell yes, then keep listening. This podcast is for you. If your curiosity is piqued, if you feel inspired by the intro music, keep listening. This podcast is for you. If it wasn't for you, you wouldn't be here right now. So that's a piece of writing, that really short piece of writing that I wrote a few years ago. And I've been writing for years. I've been writing my whole life. And the very thing that has sat on my heart for decades is now streaming towards me with more power than ever before. As my favorite book, the Bhagavad Gita, teaches, I have truly seen that no effort is a waste. And if we live from those deep callings of our heart, we will be serving our purpose here on earth. The Awake Athlete Podcast is the latest expression that is moving through me as yet another means to practice self-mastery. For me, you guys, mastery is the only option. If that makes you drool, keep listening. I still don't know the full plan of my role here on earth or the details that lie ahead, but I do know that it's going to be freaking epic. I also know that there will be brick walls for all of us, you guys, intense resistance, fear, anxiety, and patterned behavior that must fall away, and that there's absolutely nothing that comes my way that is not a necessary step for my greatest good, and most importantly, the good of all. For those of you that don't know me, I've been moving my body for a long time. I came into triathlon in 2005. That was my entry into endurance sports. But prior to that, I grew up working out from the Jane Fonda workout book. That was before videos. That was before fitness shows. That was before anything. I would read the book and then I would do the exercise. And then from there, it went to Body by Jake. And then it was like Kathy Smith and Denise Austin. And I would do those 30-minute. Some of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And you were probably in your basements with some horrific Dayglow outfit on, doing the same workout as me at the same time. And I would do those workouts like back to back. I remember at like 6:30 in the morning, there was a Body by Jake, and then there was like a Denise Austin, and I would do them. I would go up to like 90 minutes, just as long as I could do these shows. They were 30 minutes each, and I would work out during the commercials. So yeah, I was totally obsessed. I was completely driven to be fit. And reasons back then were definitely vain. They were me trying to keep up with the pretty girls that I hung around with complete disregard that I was a beautiful, worthy, amazing being already. But every single step along the way has brought me to where I am today. No effort, none of those Body by Jake workouts was ever a waste, because everything that I went through brought me to the show right now, to be able to share what has transformed my being, my state of being, my cellular structure, not just my neural pathways, not just my brain, but my being, my awareness, my consciousness, my beauty as a light being here on earth that dropped into this amazing athlete body. Somebody who is awake and ready for quote unquote hard things. Since a young age, I felt intuition as a preset in my ability to navigate life. And I've always felt the power of incredible proportions burning deep inside me. Like most of us, though, I was never taught to train my mind as a means for life mastery. But thankfully, I was always curious about this power that burned and my ability to simply know things. As my story grows into the 1990s, the early 1990s, I found yoga. And the early 2000s, I found triathlon. It was my 39th birthday when I walked into a yoga class of a man who would teach me how to speak and instill life transformative wisdom into my cells. And then shortly thereafter, I began working one-on-one with my meditation teacher. My first year of meditation came with many moments of screaming. Yeah, screaming is kind of like the opposite of meditation, right? The stillness of my sitting practice allowed me to see what was brewing under the surface. And all I can say is that completing an Ironman was a hell of a lot easier than the sensations I was being introduced to. We cannot exercise ourselves out of mental imbalance. We cannot out exercise ourselves out of negative thought cycles. And thank goodness that moving the body is an option, because it helps so many of us, and the body was meant to move. But moving the body is not the answer to the underlying misled beliefs and social programmings that are keeping us living within limits. So I experienced several life-altering moments of clarity, which allowed me to up-level really quickly. And I would say throughout my whole life, I have had these really defining moments. But once I met my yoga mentor and met my meditation teacher, that's when things really started to accelerate. And also knowing that every step along the way of my somewhat untamed life was exactly chosen as a means for the intensity I was waking up to. And that it was my discipline as an athlete and my naturally strong will that allowed me to remain steadfast during this time of turning in and studying myself and really seeing if what I dreamed to see in the world was what I was putting into the world. And I can tell you that there was a disconnect. I've known for a long time that these stories, teachings, experiences, and techniques were going to be shared. And now, at 48 years old on this planet, I truly believe that I sit as a powerful, loving being who is awake to the voice of the ego, the delusions of reality, and the secrets that remain locked inside. I stand in my truth as a deliberate creator in this life, which is the exact truth of every single human being on this earth. And it begins and ends with our response to life. Through real life experiences, consistent vulnerability, and truth as it moves through me, I will share with you new ways to look at the world. They are your choice to pursue. They are a higher perspective, the 10,000-foot view that positions us for our best performances on and off the race course. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to use words like universe and energy ad nauseum. I'm going to say the F word and the G word, and sometimes in one sentence, perhaps even back to back. But I'm not here to apologize. It's moving through me. And I believe that this is an offering to the greater good. So rule number 1, take what resonates and leave the rest. I'm a girl from New England. And despite great argument from my ego at the beginning of my meditation, spiritual journey, I have not lost my edge. And this is a journey, my friends. I'm excited as I am nervous, and this is definitely the most scary thing I've ever done. But honestly, there's no other way for me at this point. And if you listen in and you open up to new ways of seeing the world, your sport, yourself, I believe that you will soon see that the freedom to be our best will come as we free ourselves from our minds. This waking up process requires us to take back control of the mind, to be masterful in our response to the world, and to embody beyond doubt that all we desire is waiting for us to remove the doubt and allow it in. It's not always about hard work and doing hard things that are hard. This podcast is about truth. It's about training our minds. It's about sitting still and doing nothing. It's about dropping our stories, knowing our stories, bravely embracing our limitations, and detaching from the outcome. It's about lifting the veil and seeing with clear eyes. To do this, we must tame the mind. It's not just mental toughness. I'm talking about mind mastery. My biggest observance is that most athletes are not taking mental training as its own separate discipline, but as a byproduct of their physical training. And there is a lot of value and a lot of taming of the mind and training of the mind that we can do in our physical training. But I do believe it must be its own separate discipline. And that discipline is meditation. That's the non-negotiable. It's the base of everything I will offer to you. And it is so often seen as the add-on or the thing that we know we should do, but we don't know how to do, or we don't have time, or we've tried it, but our minds are too busy. And all of those reasons are sure signs that the mind is in control and the athlete is not. I'm really excited to see what drops in this season, what happens between seasons, how we connect as a community, and how you guys take this information, put it into action, and experience the change yourself. And it's not really the change, it's more of a shifting. It's a calibration. And I'll go into more about what it means to be a deliberate creator. You're going to hear a lot of words like calibration and attuning, because remember, everything is energy. We have tens of trillions of cells in our body, all of which have a positive and a negative charge. We have a vibrational resonance. And so I'm not talking about just changing the neural pathways. I'm talking about changing our state of being, shifting and calibrating into the athlete that we dream, the one that sits in our heart that we're like, oh, I know I can be that. We got to remove the doubt. And the doubt gets removed effortlessly as we calibrate to being that best self that we know we already are. This is exciting. This is scary. And I promise you, I will be vulnerable. I promise you, I'm going to make an estimate now that 90% of the episodes that come through are going to scare the heck out of me. They're going to wake me up in the middle of the night. They're going to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. They're going to tell me that nobody's going to like this. It's going to tell me it's a big waste of time and I am worthless. But I'm going to keep going because what sits in my heart says you are limitless, all-knowing, ever-powerful, and every single being on this earth is the same. So let's wake up to our truth, you guys. Let's live life with eyes wide open, and let's look in the mirror like we never have before. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 1 of the Awake Athlete podcast. Peace out.